Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Awkward Academy. My name is Justin and I'm one of your hosts. To my right, the one and only White Buffalo, John Hooley. Really thought you were going to interrupt me. I was waiting for it. This is our awkward audio podcast where we basically talk about stuff relating to us and just stuff we like. Whereas if you want to hear us talk about gaming stuff, you can check out our Game Gap. This week's topic, Fate of the Furious. 8th installment in the franchise. We went and saw it at the 10/20 premiere. And we're going to talk about what we liked, what we didn't like, what we would change. Start us off.
Alrighty. So, for some reference here, he is a large Fast and Furious fan. I am
Wrong. He's wrong.
not a huge Fast and Furious fan. I would not say that I dislike the Fast and Furious franchise. I would say that I dislike the Fast and Furious franchise until recent times.
Educated.
But yeah, the movies have definitely taken a good turn. In my opinion, as far as production quality is concerned. However, and I really do like a lot of the casting they're getting on there, because Charlize Theron, okay?
Cypher.
Good. I like her. She's a good bad girl. I love it.
She's hot as hell, too. Not a big fan of the dreads, though.
She's a hot bad girl.
To clarify, though, and also because I'm curious, how many have you actually seen of the 8?
I'm fairly confident I've seen every Fast and Furious at some point.
How many of them do you remember?
To be honest with you, I barely remember the last one.
Alright. So, let's start off with some preliminary stuff before we get into the meat. You know, let's start with some potatoes. So, you say you've seen them all, but you're not sure how well you remember them. Do you have a favorite? And a least favorite?
Alright.
I definitely do.
My favorite Fast and Furious.
And the one you think is best, because my favorite's actually not the one I think is best.
Well, as far as the one I think is best, the problem is that a lot of the Fast and Furious films really do seem to blend together. For me.
They're pretty formulaic with the last few. For sure, definitely.
And even in the initial ones, like, it was just not a subject matter that I was particularly entrenched in, and the casting and acting abilities of many of the people on board didn't really capture me in a theatrical sense. However, okay, I would say the one that strikes itself most in my memory as being the most memorable and the coolest as far as car tricks go was Tokyo Drift.
Number
And
3.
the reason for this is because after seeing Tokyo Drift, it drastically changed the entire way I wanted to play every racing game.
It drastically changed the series.
I feel like it changed culture a little bit, because drifting wasn't like I'd never even heard of drifting until I started seeing trailers for Tokyo Drift.
I had, but only in video games like Mario Kart.
Yeah. So, but then they produced a whole series of games after it, like a lot of racing games have specific drift tires, drift modes, stuff like that, and drifting becomes more and more integral to the racing scene.
And having watched all of them several times, recently, I've actually rewatched the entire series twice in the last month. Don't judge me. The first one, they're drag races, right? They just go in a straight line. And then Brian weaves around a couple of cop cars, and then that's it. And then at the very end, it's like a chase scene where he's chasing a couple of dirt bikes, and that's it. And then another drag race. Second one, it had some racing, but nothing like real crazy. A lot of CGI, you know, with it's just them doing this and the background's all blurry. The third one, they brought in a lot more of the stunt drivers, and they set up like the rigs where they could spin the cars around without them actually driving and stuff. And man, like Tokyo Drift was my favorite for a good decade. Now my favorite's the first one. Definitely don't think it's the best. Got a lot of issues. But there's just something about it, man. Like, I watched them out of order. I saw the third one, and then 5. Yeah, third, and then 5. And then I went back and watched them in order. And I've seen the last 3 in theaters, I think. in the first one, it's like seeing them when they were young and how things started out. It was really cool to see after watching number 5 when they brought a bunch of them back, you know, like Vince,
Also,
and then they killed him.
extremely awesome thing about Tokyo Drift, and the fact that I remember it as opposed to every other Fast and Furious movie parts.
Well, to be fair, it's the only one with a different cast.
True. So that does kind of take it, I guess, out of the whole blending into everything else thing. But the intro to Tokyo Drift was awesome.
That was a cool race.
Like, pretty cool.
Every time I watch it, I laugh when Sean takes his car parallel to their car, where he's not even on the street anymore. He's like in the backyard of all those houses they're building, and then he realizes there's nowhere to go except through like the boards of a house that is still in construction. And he just says, "Oh well," and then curves right through it. There's those 2 words, "Oh well." It's like, yeah, it was really cool. My favorite, first one. Least favorite, the second one. That's generally the consensus with fans of the series. Like, the second one was just Brian, and then they introduced Roman. And the overall plot was kind of boring, right? Best one, number 5. Fast 5. My god, man. That's the one where, like, number 4 brought back the crew, right? And then Han leaves, and that's when you're like, oh wait, Han died in the last one. What's going on here? And then you find out, you know, what was it, 6? The after credits of 6, you find out it's actually like a time loop thing. But number 5, like, number 4 wasn't that great either. All the things with the tunnels was boring, and I'm trying to remember the guy. Phoenix, he was a really boring bad guy. But number 5, you had like the whole crew come back. You know, Giselle comes back, Han comes back, Vince comes back. Brazil, Rio is a really cool destination for the racing. They had a lot of really good humor because they brought Roman back, they brought Tej back, and I love movies that have like your crew. You know, like, all right, we're gonna need our weapons guy, we're gonna need our chameleon, we're gonna need our smooth talker, we're gonna need our tech guy.
It was very Oceans.
I love that. And number 5, it also had the best heist. They yanked that safe out of a police station and they're just drifting around carrying it. That was awesome.
And the dragging the save and actually using it to smack into shit, and then like the
And they
whole
actually
switch.
dragged around a big prop safe for the vast majority of the driving and the stunts. It's not a whole bunch of CGI.
Can't beat practical effects.
So number 5, I think, best of the series so far. 6, good. 7, I like everything up until the drone. Didn't care for the drone. 6, actually didn't care for the plane either.
Did you like the driving the car in between skyscrapers scene?
I thought they showed the first one in the trailer, right? And I'm like, what? No way. And then they jump through a second building right after that because there's no brakes, and I thought that was pretty cool. And Statham is there shooting at him with a grenade launcher or whatever. It's also cool to see Letty fight Ronda Rousey, but it sucks Ronda Rousey had like no lines. You know?
Yeah.
But the common thread with the last 3 is you've got like your plot, and you've got your big stunts, and then like the last 20 minutes is all one long scene with a big one, you know? You got the plane in 6, didn't like that. You got the drone in 7, didn't like that. And now you got the submarine in 8, didn't like that. Just chop off the last 20 minutes, and I think these movies would be at least half a star better.
Also, I think we discussed that an avalanche in the last one would have been a fantastic, somewhat grounded, but over-the-top stunt opportunity.
Yeah.
Like,
They're crazy enough to even do it with a real small-scale avalanche.
manufacture one.
I mean,
They've done it before in movies.
in number 6, when they're driving on the highways with the tank, I forget what country it was, but they were like, hey, we're building these new highways, they're not even in use yet, you want to shoot on them? And they're like, hell yeah, and that's what they did. So they had a real tank busting through the medians and stuff, And then there's a scene where it shoots and a bunch of crap falls from the bridge overhead and Dom barrels right under it. They actually blew up a big chunk of that bridge to have it fall on a real car being driven. The stunts they did was crazy. That bus that flipped to number 7 with Brian and Tony Jaa in it, they actually had it was like a ramp that went up like this on one side for the bus to have one wheel go over so it would flip. And they flipped a real gigantic bus. But these big in stunts with the drone and the plane and the submarine, you know, like, you can't really be doing all that stuff. It doesn't look the same. It doesn't feel the same. It's just too much. I think this last movie, they've jumped the shark, as they say, with Fonzie in Happy Days. Everything else is downhill, and I want them to pull the story back, have a more personal feel, because they did that in the last one to a degree, you know? Like, you see Dom cry. Like, straight up tears, man. And you got baby Toretto, Brian. I knew they were gonna, I haven't said right before, I was like, don't name him Paul. And they named him Brian, which is basically the same thing. Which also makes less sense, because in the series, Brian is still alive. You think if he was gonna name him after someone, it would be Vince, or Han, or Jesse. Like, someone that's dead inside the movie series. But whatever. What do you think?
Yeah, I feel like you hit all bases on this one. Like, I mean, all around, I thought it was an enjoyable movie. I would go ahead and say that it was like, 6, 7 out of 10, easy.
I give it at least a 7. Yeah.
Still
Good movies. Still a lot of fun. Great popcorn flick. I don't like popcorn, but you know what I mean. Good action movies.
It's not going to be in my top 20.
A lot of good stunts. No. I think the only ones in my series in the series in my top 20 would be 1 and 5. Not best movies, favorite movies.
Understandable.
They're very separate lists. But I'm curious where 9 is gonna go, because it's already confirmed. 5, 6, and 7 are treated as a trilogy, and then 8, 9, and 10 are supposed to be another trilogy. And we know the story already had to change a little bit because Paul Walker passed away, so they had to remove Brian and Mia's characters, and they reworked it to expand the world. They brought in Mr. Nobody and his organization.
Kurt Russell.
Yeah, I really didn't expect Ramsey to stick around. Like you were saying, she's kind of a superfluous, redundant character to have.
You already have a hacker.
Yeah, you've already got Tej. So I agree. I think she's just there to be another female, there for some sex appeal, and just there for comedic relief when Tej and Roman are kind of both vying for her attention. So I'd probably nix her because you don't need her. I'd get rid of Clint Eastwood's kid, Little Nobody, because he just seems like a really crappy Brian replacement, the handsome white guy.
Yeah, he's a hard person to like.
And I'd get rid of Mr. Nobody too. I don't like the espionage spy thriller stuff. I wanted to go back to cars and characters. Character development and their cars, which are they're straight versions of those characters, Like Dom. Big muscly guy. He loves big Chargers and Challengers. And they say in every single movie the words American muscle at least once. Brian, he's a big fan of imports. He's always driving like Toyota Supras or Skylines, except for in 7 where he actually had a Ford Focus for a little bit. That's what I drive, but a much slower version of it. And then Letty, she's got a muscle car very similar to Dom's, because she's very similar to Dom, and so on and so on. But a lot of the last few movies, they don't have, cars that are theirs. They're not working on it. They're not loving on their cars like they do in the past.
Yeah, Dom gave away his car at the beginning of this one.
I was fine with that because that's his family. First time you see another Toretto. But when they're they just walk into what they call it, the toy store or whatever, and they're like, yeah, just pick out whatever car you want, and that's it. I don't like that. I want to see them have a car that are representative of them.
Yeah, it'd be interesting if they just like took some cars and just modded them to all hell.
They did in 5, and they did that in 7 too, but you don't really get to see them do the mods, you just see it later.
I think a montage.
Like number 1 was really good about showing them building cars. Number 2, they like popped the hood and picked out the cars and worked on it and said what they wanted and they didn't want. Third one did that a lot too. Fifth one did some of that. You see Vin Diesel working on that Charger for a while, and then The Rock comes in there and rams it with the truck. So I want more focus on cars and characters, basically.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to have like a montage where every character's putting their own like spin on it, and then you have like the comic relief
Roman?
black guy, Roman. Can you just have Roman like have his face as a decal on the front of one?
Yeah, like his jet, his own private jet. The back of it says "It's Roman, bitches."
Yep.
Or in number 5, they're all practicing the course they set up to try to get through the police station parking lot thing without being spotted by cameras. And you see like almost every single character in the main crew, aside from Mia, who's pregnant. You see them all take a whack at it. And one of them, Leo or Santos, I forget which one's which, like actually wrecks. You know, he hits the wall and they're laughing at him like, that's for damn sure why you're not driving and stuff like that. I like that. And the newest ones, everybody's like an amazing driver.
Everyone's
But it wasn't always that way. You know, number 5, they specifically had 2 guys to be precision drivers, Brian and Dom. You know? Letty's a really good driver. Roman's a really good driver. Han's a really good driver. Apparently Giselle is too. And for their pasts, that makes sense. But they were never as good as Brian and Dom. Never have been, but now everybody's like almost there. And it's just not the same. Especially with Tej, since he stopped racing like even before number 2 started. Yep. Where do you think the future's gonna go? You think it's gonna keep with the spy stuff?
Yeah, I think we're gonna see a bit more Kurt Russell on it. Most definitely, and I think they're gonna keep Little Nobody, which is gonna be unpleasant. However, they may get kind of a backlash in the coming film, I can see, about it, and discontinue beyond that point.
I really want them to bring back Sean. Sean Boswell appeared very briefly in number 7, just long enough to be like, yeah, like here's Han's stuff, you know, get the guy that killed him for me. And then other than that, you haven't seen him since number 3. But he signed a 3-movie contract with Universal, so he should be in 2 more, like unless they buy him out. And there's at least 2 movies left, because it's planned to be a 10-parter. Not counting spin-offs, which they've also been talking about. And I kind of think that might be what The Rock ends up doing, because he's talked about interest in it before. And the last one, Hobbs retired, so he's not what organization was he a part of? I forget. I know he was a special task force, but I don't remember if he's FBI like Brian was, or what, because he knew Nobody. Like, him and Nobody worked together before, apparently.
Yeah, I could definitely see them taking Rock, or The Rock, off of the casting for a while until the last movie. Then I could see them.
So he would
pulling
just
back.
skip 9.
Yeah, I could see him skipping 9 and then him coming back in 10. Would be I mean, for one, they'd save on casting. Okay. And I mean, if 9 flops and then you bring back The Rock, 10's guaranteed to at least have some appeal.
It's possible. He was already absent for the vast majority of 7. He had his fight scene with Statham, he had the hospital scene with Dom, and then he didn't show up until the last act, when he broke out of his cast. Like, Daddy's gotta go to work, and he took out a drone with an ambulance. That's a weird sentence.
Yeah.
What do you think about Statham? You think Statham's gonna stick around now that he's a good guy?
I can see them not. I can see it going either way, to be honest with you. I mean, on one hand, it seems like he'd be phased out, but I feel like you're less likely to have The Rock than you are Statham. Because Statham, I mean, as an actor, he's not really in a lot of work right now.
It's hard to say, because he was the bad guy in number 7, and in this last one they humanized him, you know?
Gave him a brother.
Like, well, you already knew he had a brother in 7. His brother is the bad guy from 6. That's why he's in 7.
Gotcha.
This fucking guy. But, like, The Rock, you know, he was viewed as a criminal by the government, or the world, but his government, you know, was the one that signed him to the position. They're like, if you fail, we have to burn you. We can't take responsibility for this. And then he ends up finding out that's basically what happened to Deckard, Statham's character. And they have a little bonding moment over that, blah, blah, blah. And then they have Statham go save Dom's kid, and he's like, puts beats on him to play the Chipmunks. He's making all these jokes, and he's like, even I would kill a baby, you monster, and like beats the crap out of that guy for taking a shot at him. So they're trying really hard to make you like him, and to be like, you know what, you killed Han, but everything's cool now. And I like Statham as a character, but I definitely think it was still a stretch. I mean, he blew Han up. He blew him up. He blew up their house. You know? Like with Mia there and Dom there and Brian and what's their kid's name? Jack. Jack was there too. You know, he almost killed his whole family. But now they're cool. It's a stretch. But that's Fast and the Furious for you. That's Fast and Furious for you. Well, I think that's pretty much it. Good movie. Got some issues with the series on where it's going. Hopefully they'll fix them before the 9th one. If you're a fan of the series or just a big fan of action movies, check it out, see what you think. You can get at me at Reverend Schmitty on Twitter. Him at Captain_Virgin on Twitter. Kinda. He hasn't been on in like months. But maybe someday. And stay awkward.